Friends, this podcast is on Samvat Sentiments. Diwali is near. There is the usual expectation of a celebratory mood. Everybody is wondering how far we have come from the last Samvat. The Nifty and the Sensex don't really tell the story, and many of us are in two camps, largely divided. One camp which probably never took risks in the last year, stuck to a small band of companies, did very well, and they deserve our congratulations. And there is the other set of people who probably took risks through this phase, and definitely they have been punished for taking those risks. And they're not clear whether there is going to be a near-term bottom in sight. This brings me to a basic thing that I have noticed somewhat to somewhat every year. There are some Diwalis when the markets top out. There are some Diwalis when the market bottoms out. But this Diwali seems to me a mixed Diwali. In that sense, it's not a Diwali where you can have a secular market move. So we could possibly have parts of the market bottoming out and other parts of the market probably topping out. So that's why I call it a mixed Diwali. But from a sentiment point of view, you don't need to be in any doubt that this Diwali will probably change the overall market sentiment for the better. And we will see the change in the economy visibly between this Diwali and the next one. We are heading towards a definitive structural shift in governance and in reform in our country. Every time such a shift and deeper reform has happened, it has been forced on us. Never have governments voluntarily embraced deep reform. They always did it when there was no alternative. So, in that sense, this new phase is a structural shift which the government has to go through. That's really the difference. There is a lot to be done, and I expect that this entire Samvat that we are entering will be less dramatic and more incremental. While government policies may be dramatic, on the ground we'll probably see change only incrementally because it takes a long time to translate, and I don't expect dramatic results in the course of this Samvat. Probably it could spill over into the subsequent years. Therefore, I would lower my expectations on my investments in equity during the coming Samvat. It does not mean that I am negative. I just want to lower my expectations so that I can build a portfolio for the future without being too bothered about what is happening in the course of this year. It will also help me manage risks better because you expect that adversity can keep coming in waves and will get addressed. When I have lower expectations, it also helps to beat the demands. So each of us has fears of more companies going bankrupt, of bad news coming to us in waves. But we should understand that these things will recede and we should beat our demands down so that we are ready to build the portfolio that has to be built during this structural shift. There is no choice. Investing now should also be done in a way in which we have no regret later, which means risk taking should be measured so that there are no future worries. Importantly, whether you had a successful somewhat last year or not, it is important that we structure ourselves to the future in a way which helps us to not worry too much about our investing, to enjoy and celebrate life, and to build portfolios that perform well over extended periods of time. This somewhat is not going to be as bad as the last one, but we need to understand that this somewhat is still just a first step towards a much better economic future for each of us, and investing should be our top priority. Have a great Diwali and see you soon.